Chào các bạn. Hi everyone. I've added English and Vietnamese subtitles this time because I couldn't post the transcripts before. I hope this helped you practice your British English with me here. Good morning. I'm going to make a pan-fried pizza and some watercress salad that I can do quite quickly, and while the pizza's cooking I can be getting on with something else. So first of all I'm going to make the watercress salad because I could just leave that then while I'm getting on with the pizza. Now watercress, remember in the last video if you watched it that I made pasta, watercress and mushroom pasta, but this time I'm just going to put it in my salad. I love watercress, and you know, anything that is green, especially a dark green, if it's not going to kill you then it's going to be very healthy. And watercress is supposed to have properties that are anti-aging, antioxidant, and it's full of vitamins. I mean, look at that green, and it tastes good. So the next healthiest ingredient in my salad is the apple cider vinegar. Apple cider vinegar is claimed to have many health benefits. I think the most well-known one is it's supposed to help in weight loss. I don't want to lose any weight, but useful to have in your cupboard if you do. So here's some lovely fresh green watercress. I've got some cucumber. You can chop any of this as you like. I felt like oblongs today. Some tomato here. Some chopped ginger, which will go in the dressing, as will the lime. I had this little bit of lime left, so I'm just going to use that. And some basil. This salad would be really good with mint, but I have basil, so that's what I'm using today. I have some bean sprouts, which I've grown myself. Sometimes they grow better than others. They're the little green, I don't know if you see, mung bean, little green mung beans that I use. Olive oil, some very runny honey. I'm not convinced that it's honey with all the healthy properties, but it works anyway. And soy sauce, pepper. So these ingredients are ready. I can just put them in the salad bowl. They're washed, chopped, obviously ready. Plenty there. Some. I'm not going to use all these bean sprouts, so there's a handful in here. And a cucumber goes in, and tomato, and the basil. I'm just going to keep a little bit just to put on the top. Okay, let's make the dressing. So oil first. I use a spoon. I'd normally just pour it in, but I want you to see what I'm using. So one, actually that's a dessert spoonful, good dessert spoonful, and that's enough. The vinegar, 2 teaspoons of the vinegar because we're going to have some lemon in. The honey. One to start with, you know me and sweetness. Pepper. And some soy sauce. And now soy sauce gives it a lovely flavour, but it also adds the salt. For me, that's plenty. So, yeah, a teaspoon. That's going to be quite a lot of liquid there. Lime. It's only a little bit, but it will just sharpen it and give it a nice flavour. And then the last thing I'm going to add is the ginger. Right, so here's the everything in here together. So let's give it a stir. Let's just taste it. I'm going to just taste that now. It's good. Plenty sweet enough for me. Yeah, so now we can pop that dressing on the salad. And then just give it a stir. So now we're going to make the pizza dough. This dough has no yeast in it, so it's quick. We haven't got to leave it and let it rise and leave it and let it rise and pummel it for hours. It doesn't taste quite like the pizza you will get from Pizza Hut or Domino's Pizza. and I'm pan frying it. Their pizzas are all cooked in an oven, but it works okay. You know, if you like a nice crispy crust, we roll it thinly. So what I'm going to use is a wheat flour, little olive oil, salt, and I've got baking powder and bicarbonate of soda. And I brought these from England. They help the dough rise. Obviously, there's no yeast in it, so so I sieve it. Use the sieve because it puts more air in it. You can hold it high once you put it in. So I have 1 cup of flour, and I'm measuring this out because I want you to see, but quite often I just plonk it in. What's this one? Bicarbonate of soda, so I use a little bit of that, a little bit, and some baking powder. I think the two together blow it up a bit more, but it doesn't really matter. I think baking powder is what you would buy here. So that I'll go in here. Give it a shake. Okay, so then a little bit of salt. For me, this salt is really salty, so I just put like a little sprinkle, a pinch of salt. 2 dessert spoons of oil and water. Now again, I'm going to use tap water because I'm cooking it, and I need 1/2 cup. And then we can stir, and that's it. That's it. Now don't just put a little bit in at a time and see what happens. So that's about 1/2 of that water gone in here, because you don't want it too sticky. But if it gets too sticky, you can add more flour. Right, it needs more. You might find you need it, and then once you start mixing it, you need more flour. That's fine. So that's gooey. So I'm now going to need more flour to mix it, and you can just shake it in. I'm not worried too much about sieving this last little bit. So this is the consistency now, and so we just need to mix it up. So we now just need to get that sticking together, and look, it's not sticking to my hands, but we need to give it a bit of a knead, we could say, knead it. So that's actually doing really well. That was enough flour. Sometimes you need more, sometimes you need a little bit less. So the dough is ready. It's formed a nice ball. It's nice and dry. And now we can prepare the toppings. Normally you would put a pizza in the oven and everything goes on the top and it all goes in the oven. I can't do that with a pan-fried pizza. We have to cook them a little bit and then put them on the pizza. So I'm going to make a 2-half pizza, 2-season pizza. On one side I'm going to have onions, green pepper, some salami. I've cut these into quarters, they were quite large, some mushrooms, and then on the other side I'm just going to make a plain classic margherita pizza, which just is tomato, mozzarella cheese and basil. So I've got some olive oil which I will cook it in. You need some tomato puree. The puree needs to be quite dry, so a little bit of pepper. I don't want any more salt, but you know, a pizza can have any topping you want: fish, meat, pineapple, if you're a sweet person. And actually what I should have said about this dough, you can put anything in the dough. You could put garlic in it, chop up some of the basil and put in it. If you want a sweet pizza, you can put maybe some dried fruit, nuts, you know, anything. Okay, so here's my handy little stove again. And the first thing I'm going to do is just put some olive oil, a couple of dessert spoonfuls in the pan and get that going. Okay, now I've got this on 12. I want it hot because the onion and the mushroom need to cook really quickly. these ingredients need to stay dry. If you cook them slowly and let them get to the point where the juices start to come out, you're going to have a soggy pizza. So this is really something we have to work at. And one thing I didn't say to you was my mozzarella, little bits of mozzarella, came in these little packets of string cheese. They were, I think, 12,000 Vietnamese dong for one. And that's enough for me. So I'm gonna, that's smoking away now. And I'm gonna just put these onions in and give them a second. And I'll put the mushrooms in as well because I want to show you, really, it probably takes less than a minute. You just want these to heat through really quickly. Okay, so they're in there now, and as soon as those onions become translucent and that mushroom starts to shrink down, they need to come off the heat, and that is seconds. They're going to keep cooking on their own, and I need them really dry. So you just want to get those in a sieve and let them dry and cool a little bit, and hopefully not cook too much more because we do want those really dry. So the next thing is the tomatoes and peppers, and that they need exactly the same. They're back on 10 heat and they need seconds, and turn them, keep them going, and then put them in with the mushrooms. Seconds again. And now we need to get the dough ready. You couldn't cook much quicker than that, could you? When I said quick pizza, that's really quick. So first thing I want to do is put a little bit of flour on my work surface. I've washed and dried this work surface. Again, make sure it's really clean. Of flour. And when you take this out, it's gonna probably feel a little bit sticky again. Actually, that's not too bad. Not too bad. Give it a little bit more of a knead. This floured work surface, now we're going to roll it out. And you've probably been wondering why I have a can of soda water here. Have you? Clean it. Make sure it's clean. Now you can make it thin and crispy, or you can have it thicker and doughy, but remember, it's not going to have the heat in it that it would have in the oven. Keep that rolling. Nice bit of flour. So I think that's it. And now I want to cut this for my pan, but I don't want it too small, so I'm kind of wheeling this around to make a largish circle. Okay, so here's the dough. It's quite floury, it's soft, but it's not sticky. You really don't want any sticky in that. So there we are, and that circle, look, has filled the pan really, really well. And that will just heat really slowly now. You can just leave it, and once that starts to crisp up on the bottom, then you can give it a shake and move it. And that's it, you just leave it. So I'm just going to make some quick garlic butter. So this is how much butter and garlic I'm using. I've only used 1 clove of garlic. I think that's plenty. I mean, there's enough garlic in the salami to knock your socks off. And let's just have a quick look at the pizza dough in the pan. So that's had about 5 minutes now. I know you can see it's rising. Give it a shake if you can see it's thickening out. So there. So that's coming along, and it's actually quite golden. Okay, so I think this dough is ready now. So let's just turn that over. There you go. And that's quite brown, but it's not burnt. But you want to let that go as much as you can because it will keep it crispy. I'm going to leave that on number 2 just while I get the toppings on, and then I'll rack it up a little bit. So the first thing I'm going to put on is a couple of tablespoons of this tomato sauce. So that's 2 spoonfuls, and I just want to spread that around as far as I can, and not too thickly because it needs to dry. Okay, and then after that you just put your toppings on. So as I said, I'm making a 2-season pizza, so I'm just going to put this on half. In fact, I will put the tomatoes on the other side ready. Get the rest of those onions, mushrooms, pepper, and go on, and the salami. and that's just going to heat through now. So let's just pull those little peppers out so we can see a bit of colour. Then the cheese. Okay. That's it. So now let's turn that heat up to number 5. Now that's been cooking probably just over 5 minutes. And that mozzarella has melted down really nicely. So if I can get under it and show you the colour. You can see that, so it's quite brown. It's not burnt, but I've given it as long as I can because I like it crispy. Yeah, there we go. So that's ready to eat, and now I can cook this bread. I've spread the garlic butter on it, and my fingers are going to be quicker because it's buttery. I don't need any oil in the pan, and that can just go and sizzle in there. Just spread on the rest of the butter, and then that will melt in, and then when I turn it over, it'll cook in the butter. So I flipped the bread and garlic bread, and it's browned on the other side, so that can come out. So here's my lunch. We have the garlic bread, a pizza, 2 seasons pizza, and the watercress salad. So time to eat. Okay, so I really should have invited somebody to share this with me, but I have 3 English neighbours here and a couple of Vietnamese guys. We all have a mini apartment on this floor, so I might take some and share it with somebody. But now I need to eat. So 2 seasons, so I'm going to cut across, and I get half of each. And it's definitely crispy, so that's really good. Feels like pizza should feel. So that's the margarita, tomato, and mozzarella. And this is my salami, mushroom, and onion. And now I take some of this lovely salad. A little bit of garlic bread. Okay, so let's start with the garlic bread. Oh, it's good. It's garlicky. That probably didn't have much more than 5 minutes each side, and it's not too doughy inside. Let's try the salad. That's really good. It's not too sweet, but I can actually taste that little bit of lime. The apple cider vinegar is not quite as harsh as some of the other vinegars. Good. Now, start with the margarita side. Nice bit of tomato. It's amazingly like a pizza. I've cooked a pizza. That's really good. Slow, keep it crispy. Would I know that hadn't got yeast in it? Yeah, it's a little bit different, but it's good. Oh, it's tasty. I'm not sure I want to give any away. So I hope you have a go at this, but yeah, cook it slow, keep it crispy. And it tastes like a pizza. It tastes like a pizza. Thank you for watching again. Please remember to subscribe. I want you to be able to practice your English with me. So the subtitles are in Vietnamese because I live in Vietnam. So yeah, please subscribe, like, hit that little bell. Thank you again for watching. See you again soon. Tạm biệt, hẹn gặp lại.